Right, I'll call the August 26th, the regular town council meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There are no proclamations or presentations tonight. That brings us to item 5, public petitions, communications, and public participation on any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council with a 2-minute limit. Don't have any public tonight in the room, so I'll go straight to Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to make public comment tonight? Not seeing anyone on Zoom who'd like to make public comments, so we'll move to public hearing items, of which there are also none, which brings us to reports of boards and committees responsible to the council. So Firehouse Subcommittee, we have not met. Don't believe we have. Actually, we're canceling the August meeting because we're still working out details
of the contract.
I suppose, Megan, since you're here, has there been any updates up on that since the last email that?
We're working with the town attorney on some of the insurance language, and it's been going back and forth with the architect, and we are not, it's not resolved yet, but we're getting close.
You're getting close?
Yeah.
Okay, that's encouraging.
Yes.
Okay. Brian, any news on EHHD or CROG?
Sure. CROG, I have a legislative committee meeting tomorrow, but much of it's the same stuff that the governor was out here on the affordable housing. Tomorrow's the regular CROG meeting tomorrow's on that. Eastern Highland Health District, this is the time of year where we do the evaluation of the executive director. And so we'll go through that. And EHD has been very good to us, I believe. Going through the contaminated wells, as I've said before, they've stepped up over the last year. So I couldn't be happier, and I'll give him a positive review as much as I can in regards to that. But that's where we are. They've been on budget, modest increase along with everyone else in the world over the last couple of years. So that's it.
Thank you. Yep. Any questions for Brian or? No. Great. That moves us to item 7B, reports of town council liaisons. Councilor Green, you need.
The Recreation Advisory Board was scheduled to meet on August 11th while I was traveling. They did not have a quorum, so they canceled the meeting, but it gave me an opportunity to introduce myself to Mr. Green. Welcome aboard.
I did not have any committees that met in the past 2 weeks, so Councilor Ryan.
Yep, the Historic District Commission canceled their August 20th meeting, so no updates on that. I will just say, I think, Jacob, you were on the email as well. The Historic District Commission had expressed some concerns over the tree trimming that had gone on in the green, and so we worked with Brian to send a letter to Eversource and the right entities expressing that. So that's something that has been done. So I think it's like Brian for that, and glad to support the Historic District Commission.
Yeah, I saw they responded too. I think
They did. They're looking for ideas. I'm trying to get some feedback.
Okay.
Because I said remedies, but determine what those remedies are. Just kind of said that. Let's see what we can do.
Yep.
Okay.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Another truck broke.
Careful what you wish for.
Right. Councilor Shea?
The Water Commission did meet. Unfortunately, I was traveling, so I did not attend that meeting. I looked over the minutes. I didn't see anything, but Brian can state it or have any clarifications. I didn't see anything significant that occurred during the last meeting. It seemed pretty quick, but
No, status quo.
yeah, I thought it was status quo.
The town is still moving forward to a potential exploring a sale.
Okay. And then I attended my first contract negotiations with the teacher admin union. It's obviously private discussions, but it's progressing. So
That's what the administrators, correct? Not the
correct, the administrators. Yes.
not the big.
No, the big one's already
Yeah.
has already been negotiated.
Counselor Beebe?
So, planning and zoning met last night. I did a quick summary of what we were meeting about, and there were questions about the shared animal shelter, or the potential shared animal shelter, as far as which towns were involved. So I tried to give feedback on that, but I did not remember that Stafford was included. I did mention Wellington. I also mentioned the renewal of the contract with the state troopers, and there were some questions as well about the availability of statistics, because I had referenced that you have been really diligent about trying to get us statistics. And planning and zoning is also interested in that. If we ever do get anything, I said, right now, we don't know what we're trending in Tolland, because we don't have the information available to us.
I'll have an update.
So, they were just querying that, and wondering about it as well. They talked a lot about they mentioned spent a lot of time on the EDC portion again, the village center area and potential development there, density there, which has been requested to be quite significant, and that is an ongoing discussion. So there was a pretty vigorous discussion about that, and I guess we'll have to stay tuned as to what happens there.
Thank you.
The village center district, is that like, where, is that like?
Village Center, the center district is basically the land behind Mobile, like on either side, Mobile, and then the other side behind, like from Dunkin' Donuts around. And there was some, maybe you can clarify this. So there was some discussion about the quote unquote trade-off in property that had been discussed, and this goes back like more than 20 years, at least 20 years, about the parcel of land that the town owns that connects to Cider Mill.
Yep.
Right, for if there's gonna be like any kind of mixed use or residential, whatever, would be beneficial, right, to make that development work, to connect through to Cider Mill. And from my ancient history, that was always kind of like gonna be, we would consider a trade-off or some kind of
There's some finesse in there.
quid pro quo there. It was never just, here, we're just gonna give this to you.
Yep.
So that was being discussed also.
We would do whatever we needed to do to make something happen through there.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
But a lot of it hinges on
so,
what had happened over the last year down there, unfortunately, so.
yeah, and years ago, and again, this goes way back, the state was approached about switching the commuter lot and putting it behind Subway. Because the existing commuter lot is a better commercial space, and they were actually willing to do that. And so we had looked into the cost of like building a new commuter lot behind Subway, and then the state was willing to basically just do a land swap. And part of that all dovetailed into, if we do that and we put the commuter lot down there, what can happen with the adjacent property, and how can that development be facilitated? And so that ties into a lot of that discussion that goes way back.
That reared its head again. In the discussions with the governor as potential places for affordable housing.
Mhm.
Where the commuter lot was, and so it might be sniffed around again.
Okay.
If the state is willing to do it and provide infrastructure for us to put something there, so it's not off the board. The state reps and Andy Powell were involved, so Andy might actually mention that discussion that we had with the governor.
He may have, and I think it's important to actually bring the town council leadership into that discussion
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Because the policies are so important
Yeah.
from the whole town perspective. But that, just so that you guys know, the area behind the Subway is like what is made land. So there was Manchester Sand and Gravel was back there, and so there's a bunch of buried stuff, and there's a bunch of unsuitable material. So actually putting a parking lot on top of it is actually not a bad idea there. And then the area where the commuter lot is much more accessible, and it's actually
Prime space,
right, much better from all perspectives as far as trying to put
bus stops,
Right.
it's perfect for us.
right.
Interesting. I didn't know the history of that.
That goes, and back in so if the state is involved, right, that's even more beneficial, because we were actually looking to foot the cost of the construction of the commuter lot. If we had to exchange property, the state was willing to go, sure, you do what you want over here, we'll do a quick claim, but you have to build this over here, right? We're not building you a new lot. So sounds like maybe,
Wasn't offering to pay for it.
oh, okay,
Yeah, the state would have to help with that, obviously.
so, anyway.
Yeah, great.
No, it's a good update. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. We'll move on to item 8.1, new business, discussion on the potential for shared animal control services with Tolland, Wellington, and Stafford in the Regional Performance Incentive Program, RPIP grant.
Thanks. So, with our council, your council goals, one of the things is always looking to regionalize since I've been here. One of the, what happened was when we got the state inspection on our animal control facility, that we needed to do certain upgrades, within 5 years, it kind of breached the way for potential regionalization with some towns around us. Assuming they went through the same inspections and issues, and most did. It was entirely our idea to reach out and start to regionalize with the animal control staff and potentially on the facility side. That has been entirely the work of Megan Massa, who's here tonight to talk about it. We felt it was important to start getting it into council discussions just to keep everyone aware of where we're moving forward on both parts. There's a grant available if we regionalize, and I believe it's the grant will pay for 75% of staffing 1 year, then 50% the next year, 25% the next year. So there should be potential savings in the regionalization efforts. Megan's been working very hard at different levels with success and not success with Wellington, Ashford, and Stafford. And so I have Megan here to discuss it. Megan, thanks.
And also just want to point out that we have Pauline Yoder from CROG. She has been working with us on the interlocal agreement and the potential for the grant for the services for the staffing costs. And then we'll come back to you probably at some point with more information on the animal control facility, but this really, this agenda item is more on the staffing side. So I'm open to any questions that anybody might have. I don't know where to.
You want to just kind of just explain what we're looking at to do with Stafford or Wellington with?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So currently, Stafford provides animal control services to Wellington. Wellington has an animal control facility that's not currently up to snuff. So they've been working with Stafford. So Stafford has staff and the facility, and they provide those services to Wellington for a fee. One of the things we were looking at was trying to find some way to work together, the three towns, just given our geographical proximity, and try to find some way that we can provide some cost savings. And also to help benefit staff coverage, better animal care. If somebody's on vacation, there's staff to cover. If you run into a hoarding situation, you know, and there's a overrun of animals, that we have options and facilities. There may be some cost savings too with sharing equipment, dispatch services, like some of those things could be, I don't think we're looking at tens of thousands of dollars savings ongoing. We're still working through some of those numbers. The savings may be small, but I think overall, we're gonna have better services, better quality care for the animals. And it's not going to be a additional cost to the town to be able to do that. I don't know if Pauline has anything that she might want to add.
No, I think you covered most of that. I think that the savings will be not large, but I think the benefit will be in the better coverage of the services, right? That's sort of the, and more optimal in terms of being responsiveness, and if addressing vacation times and leaves and things like that, that will still offer continuous coverage for all three towns.
I think it's important to point out too that Tolland has 2 part-time animal control officers. We have one 24-hour-a-week position, and then we have a 6-hour-a-week weekend position. So it's not a lot of coverage that we have. Hoping that maybe
Not a lot of savings. based on how small those goals are, but worth it for us to explore. And we want to push towards regionalization all around, so.
And I think there will be some significant savings through the grant program. And those and we haven't quite worked out what we're going to do, but I think some of those upfront cost savings that we're gonna get offset by the grant can go into some sort of a savings that we can use down the road for animal control services. So there will be initial savings through the grant program.
Is Stafford able to handle facility-wise a third town?
So as it stands, we are gonna renovate our facility. Stafford has a facility that meets code. They have a couple little repairs I think they need to make, but nothing significant. So we will have our own facility, and we're working with Tammy Nuccio right now for a bond request to cover some of that cost of renovating our facility. Wellington is gonna continue to use Stafford's facility. There may be a possibility that some of the animal overflow may come to Tolland, and vice versa. So we're planning to slightly expand our current facility just to accommodate any potential additional animals.
Go ahead.
Councilor Bryan?
I just, so at least as I recall, so I support regionalization in any way we can. I think it's a good thing. And so I think this is good with staff. As I recall, it kind of came up, I think, because, the new state requirements for the animal control facilities and things like that. Is there a reason we can't regionalize like the facility itself? Like we couldn't also use Stafford? Like we do, like, so if Wellington doesn't have a facility like Stafford, why do we need to have a facility?
Because Stafford's at capacity. They can't take on the animals that we have.
Okay.
They're just full out. They're busier than we are, and they're using all of their space. And I think also it's in our best interest if in the future we decide, with changes in leadership that shared services isn't the direction we want to be in down the road, that we're not now scrambling then to put together an animal control facility for ourselves.
What, can I just ask, like, not just like a sense for like, do we use our facility a lot? Like, is there like constantly like, a lot of animals in there? I just don't have any idea like what our.
Yes,
Yeah.
in fact, it has over the years, since I've been here, been profitable. For us, taking care of different cases that wind their way through probate through other towns that don't have a facility. I had it in the capital agenda to build or at least make the improvements to get us up to state standards. And it's Department of Agriculture that comes through and has all these standards, and it's fairly significant just compared to where we're at now and Wellington's out. But once it got approved for state bonding, it's not on the agenda. Now that makes it a lot easier to just move forward and expand. I don't want to make anything bigger, or I don't want to expand if we don't need to. So it's going to be modest, and for us to be up to state standard, but also to take in extra if we need to. And again, that has proven to be profitable over the last few years for us. So.
Follow-up question to that. So with this regionalization, would you still plan on like the same extent of improvements to the facility? Would it need to be as big as you were originally envisioning it to be if we're partnering with Stafford and Wellington?
I had envisioned it being bigger when we rebuilt and getting everyone involved, but Stafford's decent.
Yeah.
So and I don't want to make it too big for us here. So it's going to be respectful within whatever the funding request was as best we can. To accommodate the town of Tolland and then some influx elsewhere. And we're not overly busy, but since I've been here, there's almost always been some dog over there. Or 2 or 3, so. Yeah.
So currently we have, I think, 8 runs, and we're looking to add an additional 2. So the plan so far, we're still working on design. We're looking at having just 8 regular dog runs and then 2 additional separated out for quarantine. And if we don't have quarantine animals and we have overflow, then we have some additional dog run space. So-
Last settlement or last discussion, I believe, Megan, we weren't looking at a total rebuild of a new facility. It was an upgrade to the current. Is that what we were looking at?
As it stands, I think what we're trying to do is renovate what we have existing, and take those dog runs out of the main building. And renovating that to have, a proper office space. We want to have an area for cats that are separated. Right now, cats are in the dogs' kennels. That's not ideal for anybody. We want to have, laundry facilities, dog washing, and we need to have some sort of a kitchenette area where they can do food prep, something with like a refrigerator, a sink and a microwave.
So that's
Right.
all required by state.
Yeah, yeah, the laundry isn't required, but it's a good idea. I mean, you have soil bedding and stuff like that over there, and they really shouldn't be using, public works washing machines for
Oh, God, no.
animal bedding and stuff like that. I think that the separate laundry facilities
Yeah.
and we're also looking at improving, making it ADA accessible. I'd like to have some sort of like a little vestibule in the front where someone can come in, and because currently right now, when you enter in right into the office space. So I'd like to have like some separation there for visitors, connecting to the sewer on site. And then we want to do an expansion that incorporates, there's a garage there now that has some dog kennels in it. We want to expand that out, and then that will be our dog runs. So we're looking at 8 runs separated with a center aisle, so. And that's pretty much,
And what's the timeline for the grant?
Well, it depends on all the grant.
the grant for the shared services.
Yeah.
Just for the shared services, I think that's due in October, Pauline?
October 1, it's a rolling deadline on the grant, so they review every 3 months except during the summertime. So October 1 is the one of the rolling deadlines. And the next one would be January 1, I believe. So we're shooting to have the application in for October 1.
Okay, thank you. Where do we take so that's dogs and cats. If there are other animals that are picked up, where do those go? So more livestock oriented or, not dogs and cats, do those go to a different town? Do they go to a different state facility?
They have essentially a list that they can find out what facilities could handle, like Ellington has much different animal control needs than
I
we
bet.
would have.
I bet, yeah.
And that's why we can't really regionalize with them. I would love to, but our needs are completely different. So it's certainly Ellington has the ability to handle different things than Tolland, but they have a call out list where they
Okay, so.
horses and then, things like that. They can find farms and such to put them in.
Okay. Thank you.
Next question, Counselor?
Yeah, so you actually asked my question, but the answer actually raised more questions in my head, so I have to continue on with my questions. It's interesting to hear the answers because when we say we're regionalizing, but then I hear we're expanding our facilities, we're gonna have, more resources committed to it, so I don't understand. I guess I don't understand the town's benefit to the regionalization. Are we gonna receive money from other towns because we're performing more services for other towns that they no longer will do? And therefore will generate income from those operations? Is that effectively what's gonna happen?
It's more of a cost savings by pooling resources. And like I said, it's a small cost savings. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a tremendous impact on our overall budget. It's gonna be more about having that better coverage and having better animal care. It's the staffing, sharing it. It benefits all 3 communities. You'll have, I think one of the problems is the animal care in the facilities, having somebody that can get over there every day and take care of those animals, and having extra staff that we can pull in when we need to makes things a little bit easier. We've had a good amount of turnover in our animal control staff. Having a pool that we can work from is always going to be, I think, a benefit for us. There will be some small cost savings. I think we're looking into saving some costs on dispatch and some other things as well.
Okay.
It's not going to be an overall,
Doesn't sound like we're saving any significant level 1 year.
In the first 3 years,
Sounds like
75% of our salary for the animal control. Is that accurate for the first year?
75, 50 the second year,
It's not
and
a
then
ton.
25.
And that's just purely salaries, and we're at 30 hours a week.
Yep,
of
it's not a
salaries
ton.
anyway, so
Yeah.
we're not talking about money. And then, I'd be curious to see like how, you said that we actually make money by having these facilities.
We have, yes.
So does that covers like, does that
Food.
cover salaries?
Food.
Does it cover utilities? Does it cover like?
Yeah, there's a
amortizable cost
there's
of
a
building?
fund, right? An animal a fund that it goes into.
Correct,
Uh,
it's called dog fund, and we keep a track of all salaries, all expenses, utilities.
Utilities, what about cost of the building itself? Is that
Yeah, we do
covered? Is that
receive-
included in it?
Yes, we do have also the collection that comes from town clerk's office for the dog fees and other collections that come in.
Okay, and that again, that covers the cost of having a building
We've been successful
as
as county interest.
as you amortize the cost of the building. Okay. And then there was a mention of a bond. So, Tim Ucci was looking to get a bond.
It was, the bond funding was approved by the state, so the state would cover it. And I believe it was 100%, was it, or was
No, it's still it's 80.
80%?
So is it a bond or a grant? Because we have to pay it back?
It's the bond commission approves it once we get on the agenda. No, we don't have to pay it back.
So it's a state bond, not like.
It's allocated from the state, it's money
Yes.
allocated
Okay,
from
so
the state.
the state has a bond.
But the bond
and
commission
the
has
state
to-
covers the cost of the bond,
Yes.
so we get the money.
Yep.
Oh, so it's kind of like a grant for the town.
Correct.
Okay.
So when the state approves these items, they approve them, but unless the state bond commission meets and unless your item is on their agenda and they then approve the actual disbursement, the money doesn't actually flow.
You're in purgatory.
Okay.
Yeah, because I waited a long time for project money to come through on one of my projects.
Getting it approved is the first step. Getting it on the agenda is a different.
Yeah, it can be very, very lengthy.
I think the
hopeful.
firehouse took 2 years.
But
Yeah.
the state wants regionalization too. And that, they're seeing that we're making these efforts. CROG has some input as well to getting things pushed forward.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, because if every town is keeping, like Stafford's gonna keep their facilities, they're gonna keep their people, town's keeping its facilities, keeping its people. It's not a great regionalization plan if everybody's keeping everything.
Yeah, we tried, we went to Ashford, you're gonna have problems, we told them, you should probably wanna jump in on this, we go to towns around us. Ellington has completely different needs than us, so they're out, and so we've tried, and CROG tries to get regionalization, and the frustration for me is that at a 50,000 foot level, imagine trying to do this with the fire department.
Right.
We're having 2 part-timers getting regionalized and with 2 or 3 different town councils and planning ahead, and it's just so small, imagine, and we wanna regionalize public safety down the road. Imagine the lift that's gonna be too. So while it's a good exercise for us internally on the regionalization process, it's not a great outlook in the larger scope things that we would like to do. I assume that, different councils have wanted to do down the road. So not a lot of savings, some savings. And, you see how tight our budgets are. If I can save 75% of our salary for 1 year and then cut back some on the dispatch, because keep in mind, TN here, we pay X amount of dollars to do our dispatch. Now we're dividing it 3 ways in a truck, and we can start sharing those things out. There's gonna be some savings, but it's a lift. It's been a huge headache for pennies for us to save for Megan.
Yeah, I think it would be good to understand like the impact of the regionalization that we're talking about. Like, what does it say, what town in this regionalization plan? 'Cause
You're
I
gonna have
don't
that, right?
hear.
So Pauline's been working on it. We've been revising some numbers. I don't know where she is on the latest.
So I don't have numbers to share today, but as we work through that, we will, as part of the interlocal agreement, we would have the savings with and without the grants. There's, of course, the RPIP grant will offer the matching grant money that translates into savings, but then also in year 4, we would expect to see some. It's not a large amount. We're talking thousands, not tens of thousands, right, on an annual basis, but we're working through the exact numbers on that still, but we would present that to each of the town councils as we move through the process.
I'd like to not only see the dollar savings, but the functional savings too, if that's how those equate.
Yeah, so resource benefits and things like that, we could outline those in more detail as well.
Yeah, because to Brian's point, I think it's a great exercise. I mean, granted, we're not seeing big money here, but how this is handled between towns talking to each other and how it could, affect other ways of regionalizing certain activities. You could definitely sort of look at this as I want to say a blueprint, but sort of a roadmap to how we maybe regionalize other things.
It's an exercise, exactly.
Yeah, it's great. It's great exercise, even though we're not seeing, honestly.
She might not think it's great exercise.
No problem.
All of them looked at. So talking about services, regionalizing services, so we would continue to have our 2 part-time positions here. That would not change. It's just that we are now the 3 towns, or I guess that Wellington doesn't have any staff, but like we are sharing, like we would be able to tap into Stafford's staff if we needed to, and vice versa. So it's like,
So you're getting.
we're not regionalizing as having like one central office of animal control officers. We're just going to share resource or, human capital or whatever you want to, however you want to refer to it.
So say example, it's a weekend and the person we have working that 6-hour weekend shift gets a phone call for something in Stafford.
Yep.
Then they can go and handle that call in Stafford for Stafford.
Yep.
Without having to do extra paperwork.
Okay, so this is your point of like, so ultimately this is like a improved quality of services thing at no additional cost to the town. That's more.
And
it's
some
not-
savings.
And
Correct.
But it's not. like
And
getting
vice
rid of
versa,
our-
because I think Stafford has they have a full-time animal control officer. So, if for some reason, somebody is unavailable in Tolland, we can have somebody come and respond to a call here for us.
So how does it work down the road after the grant money's off the table and now we're just in an operating expense environment? The facilities get older,
Mhm.
facilities in Stafford get older and in Tolland get older. And what happens when those facilities need to be renovated again or rebuilt or replaced? Does Wellington kick in for that? Do they have to pay for our facilities?
So when the state came and said, we're gonna have to shut you down at some point, and you need to make these upgrades, and you have 5 years to do it.
Yeah.
My point of view was either, let's make a central facility, either here, or it's in Wellington, or it's in Stafford, or it's in whatever town, I don't care, but we have to do something.
Yeah.
Getting other town councils to agree and move forward in that direction on a facility became just problematic. And so we had it in our capital budget to, at some point within the next 5 years, I've got the deadline now, it's gonna be 3 years or so, to build another facility for us here in town. We have to responsibly move ahead with having some sort of facility here, and again, not knocking down and building a new, and you'll learn over time that I do not want to knock down and build new anything. And so we're modestly getting bigger, so we can, if Ashford wanted to jump in down the road, we could, facility wise, handle it. If they wanted to jump in regionally down the road, we could. But the improvements that we want to make at the facility here is 50 years, hopefully. Let's hope Department of Agriculture doesn't come and redo the standards again, and got to be microwaving food for the cats, and let's hope. But this is long term. This is not Band-Aid fix facility wise.
Right.
This is long term. Operationally wise, again, we're not doing it for just 3 years, save the money, and then we're back to doing it. We want it to be long term. If we need to expand, and as we grow, we will. Let's hope we don't have to grow, but these are long term plans. I'm not the kind of guy out of let's do it for 10 years, patch up the place over there, and let the next town manager 10 years from now figure it out. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So these are long term solutions. It's on our sewer line. It's the existing building. There's some positives for it.
Okay.
And then if I could just jump into, Wellington does pay to Stafford, a fee for the building, like towards the building and maintenance.
Okay.
That's sort of incorporated into what they pay to Stafford.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're.
And I don't know how, like I said, we haven't quite worked our agreements out yet to see how we're gonna structure that exactly yet for fees for building use. I think one of the problems with doing the central location, like we had first explored, and then when I had reached out to the other communities, or for other communities to invest into a facility that's not in their town. And drumming up the support for that, budgets are tight and people are gonna
Yeah.
be very irritable about paying extra tax dollars to renovate a facility in Tolland when they don't live here. So that's kind of where we ended up taking our own direction. I think even Wellington's facility was in better condition, I think, than ours. May have cost less to renovate. It's a larger facility. But again, like, how am I gonna get buy-in to renovate a facility in Wellington with Tolland money?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a challenge.
Could I just follow up on what?
Yeah.
So I understand why it makes sense for Stafford and
Mhm.
to work with Wellington. Is there gonna be a situation like if a Tolland animal control person is responding to Wellington, do we get, like, what's the benefit to Tolland of having Wellington involved in this whole, you know what I mean? Cause like they're paying Stafford.
So if we are a three-town
Yep.
arrangement, then that cost is gonna be shared with Holland and Stafford. So, Tolland is going to take over some of that responsibility for Wellington from Stafford. So we'll all be kind of working together in that same way that Stafford is gonna cover calls in Tolland and Tolland's gonna cover calls
So
in
would
Stafford.
Wellington then, I mean, I'm not asking for details, but like then we would structure something where we're getting like compensated by for Wellington if we're sending, okay.
Mhm.
Got it.
So, just kind of summarize, benefits are mainly operational, modest cost savings, but not, that's gonna change the world there.
Correct.
Are there any drawbacks that you can think of this arrangement that we haven't talked about?
That I don't know. I mean, there's always a potential when you are working with three different communities that one community feels like they're doing more of the lion's share. So that's what's kind of nice about this grant period is that we have a little bit of time where the grant's paying the bulk of our costs year one for staffing, that we can sort of adjust a little bit to see, that the workflow is to everybody's benefit. And there is room in there that we can adjust.
Work out the kinks.
And work out the kinks, so that you have a little bit of a safety net through the grant program to really kind of work some of that stuff out, so that hopefully by year 4, we're a well-oiled machine.
Mhm. That's good to hear. Yeah, just wanted to bring it up because savings are modest, so if there's, if it just becomes kind of.
Is it worth the
unworkable,
headaches?
I don't want to bend over backwards for a couple $1,000s a year, but it sounds
We're
like,
also not locked in.
yeah.
If at any point we're going through this and it just isn't a good fit,
Mhm.
we can dissolve it.
Okay, it's low risk.
Mhm.
Is there any action that's needed from the council? So this is
Just a discussion.
in October, but you don't need council approval to do that, or you already have it?
No, this is really just sort of an update on what we're working on and that we are working towards this grant application. When we have better numbers for you, like budget numbers, and when we have the interlocal agreement drafted, we would bring that back to town council to review.
And they already reviewed the application for us to apply for the grant. Council had to approve that, if I remember correctly. Wasn't there some discussion on that prior to for us?
That was for the facility.
Okay.
This is just for the services. I don't know, Pauline, if you have anything else?
No, CROG is the one who applies for the grant, so there wouldn't be a council review of that, but that we would come to the council with the interlocal agreement on or about, once we do the application, I think after that, with the assumption that we will get the grant, we would put together the interlocal agreement on the contingency that the grant is received. So sometime between October and December would be my guess in terms of us coming back to the council.
Any other questions from councilors? Thank you, Megan, for giving us some.
Thanks very much.
on that for
Thanks, Pauline.
all the work.
Yeah,
that's
thanks,
been
Pauline.
done.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item A2, consideration of a resolution for supplemental appropriation of $46,387 from the equity distribution from KERMA to use by the town and Board of Education.
Thanks. And I have Mike Wilkinson, my HR director, here to discuss this further, but this is From year to year, that we get different appropriations from an equity distribution from Kerma. It is split 50-50 with or roughly thereabouts with the Board of Ed. On the town side, we're asking to put that money on the contaminated wells funding, basically, which we call the environmental testing projects account. And the Board of Ed is going to use it for academic support for students. Mike Wilkinson's online. Mike, anything to add?
No, just the cover sheet had a list of where we put it before, so it kind of talks about the town has mainly used it for insurance related items, so that's where it's going. It's going to the contamination fund to help with that analysis and projects down the road.
Any questions or comments from councilors?
I can go a little further. If you look, you can see we've been putting this in environmental testing for since 2021. And then periodically, even with that funding, I believe we've asked for more funding into that account here and there. So this is a helpful offset on the town side.
Yeah, for a while it's been going into that.
Yep.
That fund. There's no questions. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the draft resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Moran. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Shay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Looks like it was unanimous. That resolution is adopted. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item 8.3, consideration and action on authorizing the renewal of a contract with the state of Connecticut for resident state trooper services for the period of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027.
Thanks. As you know, we budget for resident troopers. As a part of having the resident troopers here in town, we come up with a contract with the state of Connecticut. This is a renewal of said contract. There are some minor changes to it. But I'm asking that we sign it. I've had reservations about signing it in the past. I have reservations about signing it now, but I recommend that we do. I am currently involved. We had a meeting with the commissioner this month on providing a public safety update, a crime update of where we are in town. As you know, with my frustrations, we have no idea if crime is up or down. We don't know if we have a crime problem. We don't know if our town is safe. I suspect it's safe. We don't know if burglaries are up, auto theft are up. We don't know if they're happening in one end of town or another end of town. We pay roughly $500,000, $600,000 a year for our resident troopers and have no idea what we get for that. Zero report out. And so we are working with the commissioner. He was sympathetic to our cause. I went with Matt Reed, who is the town manager in Ellington, former chief of police in South Windsor. Who experiences the identical frustrations that I have here. And the commissioner has been very good about working on getting a quarterly report or monthly report. And we're looking at, we have a meeting in September back in Middletown with the commissioner's staff on coming up with that report. My goal, as you recall, is having the resident troopers come in here quarterly or biannually and just give council an update. Do we need 4 resident troopers? No one in this room knows. No one in this town knows. When I was with DESP, with the state police prior to coming here, the commissioner and the colonel both asked, why do we have so many resident troopers here in town? And I had not started day one here at this point, and I did not know the answer to that. No one knows the answer to that because we don't have any data. So we're looking to change that. You saw what happened at budget time, how tight things are at the budget, and how do I justify that we need 4 resident troopers when I have absolutely no data to tell me that we need that many troopers. It is purely a conjured up number based on perception. Historically, we've gone down to 2 resident troopers in the past. We're at 4 right now. I'm comfortable with the 4. I would like to, years down the road, go to a regional approach to law enforcement, but that is way down the road. So right now, I recommend we move through this contract for the next few years. I'm confident that we will get some data. I know we'll get some data from the state police. So they have already started generating that report, and we're going to start fine tuning it this month there, and we'll get it here. It's not just Tolland and Ellington, it's the 62 other resident trooper towns as well. So it's just, the commissioner agrees, it's time to professionalize the resident trooper approach.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions on the contract or background provided?
Financial summary says $528,120 and change. That is for the 2-year period or per year?
So there's some adjustment there, as you know, we had budgeted X amount of dollars for it. But then I believe a 2.5% raise was approved for the troopers. It's more, Yoletta is here to explain where we are budgeting with this contract.
So, yes, the contract, just says 528. However, we budgeted $541,000.
Okay.
Recently, we received new updates with the new projection amounts, and that included increase in fringe benefit, which is higher than we budgeted.
Okay.
However, we encumbered some amounts from available funds. As you remember, FY25 we were favorable, so we encumbered for this situation.
Yep.
So if it's the budget, we good. We're not gonna be in the deficit in line item, but these fluctuation happens. And in their letter, which is page 37, they do explain that this includes only 2.5% of salary increase. And it does say that if there's increases in fringe benefit, replacement, promotion, transfers, that's not part of it. So this is very bulk number. And again, it fluctuates. It's my understanding twice a year, probably, when we prepare the budget, and then it will happen once we get recalculated. So we conservative, if I say, so we don't jeopardize our budget.
Councilor Rand?
A couple of questions. One, have we tried, I know you've been trying to get this data for a while now. Have we tried pursuing it through like the state's attorney's office? Like, because they generate way more specific data than what like we get, which is like, nothing. Just something to think about, or I don't know if that's an option. It wouldn't give us all of what we would want probably, but
Right.
perhaps more than what we have now.
So the state's attorney is likely going to have most of their information post arrest, or, I'm looking for.
Yep.
And the reason I'm pushing so hard for this, I know what they can do. I know what the next gen system can do there. And once the report is made, it's a push of a button.
Yep.
Enter, print, come up and present to council.
Yep.
And so there are likely other avenues. We can do UCR after the fact, but even then, I want to wash out I-84.
Yep.
And so great idea, but
Sure.
they have the product there.
Okay, so then the question I have is, you've been pushing hard to get this, and I understand, like, hopefully we are making a bit of a breakthrough. Why should we wait on signing this until that gets resolved? Or if we do that, are we at risk of losing coverage?
Exactly. So I could keep pushing the envelope, and I did the previous contract. The state could say, okay, well, we're pulling our troopers out. I don't think they would ever do that. But I'm not in the mood for playing a game of chicken when we're making progress at the commissioner's office level now. And
It just feels like we've been hearing that, and it's not through your fault, like you've been pushing relentlessly. It just feels like that's what the state's been saying.
So let me bring you up to date. The state troopers themselves here at Troop C offered to come in, and they offered to anecdotally provide some of that data.
Yep.
I want it codified.
Yep.
I want some things codified and more things. Notification, I've expressed lack of notification, and thank God for our fire chief on some of this stuff. But I spoke to the guy. He's generating the report. I know that he's doing it. The commissioner agrees with us. He's the former police chief at Yale University. I said to him in the meeting, if you went to your dean and said, we're not giving you any update on crime on campus, what would happen to you? And he said he'd be fired. And of course, and so he was very sympathetic to us. He wants to professionalize the contract. It's time now. He's been there X amount. Since I've been here, I've been pushing it. But he hasn't been there that entire time. But now he has some time to look into it. And I have thank you for the assistance from Town of Ellington with Matt Reed as well. We'll be able to generate some reports and data for us. We'll be perfect. I have no idea. We'll see what they have to offer in September. He's going to approach us with a product when we go there in September.
Okay, and I'm not, you know, I don't know. I'm not necessarily suggesting that we do this now or not, but, you know, like if in 2 years from now, we're still here, we're still having the same conversation and it's still not in the MOU, like, you know, at some point, just something for us to think about is like, you know, what are we doing, right? If this is still what we're hearing year.
And I suspect what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm in there and I'm like, okay, you're telling me this.
Yeah.
You know, but how is it codified?
Right.
I'm not letting it go.
Right. Okay.
You know, I'm going in there next week, not just to talk about the product, but issues that we've discussed.
Yep.
You know, here we are again.
Yep.
You know, life stars a landing and.
Yep.
So
And your recommendation is for us to approve entering into it
in good
to
faith,
ensure, in good faith, you know, because this, they're progressing, and also to ensure that we have, you know, we continue to have law enforcement coverage in town. Is that?
and they make that. They
Yep.
veiled threat that,
Yep.
you know, you're saying you don't want resident troopers by not signing the contract, and if you're saying that, you know,
Okay.
it's just a dance.
Yep.
Counselor Jay?
Real quick question. So this contract is through 2027.
Yeah.
Does that lock us into 4 troopers, or if we see budgeted next year?
Another great question.
Yeah.
And we know what happened this budget cycle and how, you know, close we flew to the sun there. And in the past, we have been able to lower the amount of troopers. What would happen? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't anticipate that happening this year. Again, I don't have any data to support it. So that is a, by contract, it doesn't look that way, but we've been able to work it out in the past. We don't have the money to pay you, state police, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, and what are they gonna do? You know, so it's kind of, again, the game of chicken.
Okay.
But there is a good working relationship
So you
there.
don't feel we need a paragraph entered in the contract saying, you know, the town reserves the right to reduce the number of troopers during any.
Oh, I
budget
would love that, sure, and have thought of that, but no, the AG does not want to move to individualizing the town contracts.
Okay.
And that's why
Oh.
and their word is, we're only doing it for 2 years.
So this is a standard contract that every town is basically signing.
And they won't, hence my MOU, I don't know if you were here, but I went to them with an MOUs with a whole bunch of requests.
Okay.
And
But you're comfortable that if we had to, we could reduce one from a budget perspective and they would be okay with it?
I am.
As they have.
Mike Wilkinson, if you're still on, do you remember years ago prior to when I was here, they went down to 2 resident troopers. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, so it was a budget issue. Just what we were having a very bad budget year, and Steve proposed that. The council agreed to it. I think it was for I think we did it for either 1 or 2 years. Then the council decided to go back up. In my memory, it wasn't based on any kind of analytical data, but it was more basically we had always been at 4 and we kind of went down to 2 for a while. And the council at that point felt more comfortable going up. Obviously the budget at that point wasn't as big of an issue, so they decided to go back up to 4. So, but again, there wasn't any discernible difference that I remember between having 4 and 2 at that time.
But Mike, we were able to adjust from the contract, right? When we went.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. In my memory, you can drop, unless the contract's been changed since then, but yeah, you could drop people at any time if you wanted to. That wasn't, it wasn't locked in as a certain amount. So we didn't have to change the contract. We just said we didn't, we wanted 2 instead of 4. But I assume that.
Now I believe is pretty solid in that you're into the 4, but I do believe that if we said we don't have the money to pay, again, the troopers aren't getting fired, they're gonna get reallocated and they're short staff, the state police, and they have plenty of room if we were to go down to 2 to put them elsewhere.
Oh.
And, philosophically, 20 years from now, I could see the state police wanting to get out of the resident trooper business entirely. And I want to say one more thing. my frustrations with this process have nothing to do with the resident troopers we have here in town. I am completely happy, and even Troop C, the command staff there has been very responsive, so I'm very happy with the resident trooper and the work that they do here in town, and we do have a very safe town, obviously.
Counselor Green?
I have a fundamental problem spending $500,000 and not being able to see what we're getting for it. You know, I mean, every budget year, we fight tooth and nail over 0.1%, and the town's at each other's throats. And here, just trust us. We're, you know, you don't need to see the data or whatever. You know, it's like, to me, I'd like to see an example of this report, because to the town manager's point, if you leave or the guy leaves, right, there goes that relationship, and there goes our chance at seeing crime data in town. And this the feeling of just trust us, or we'll see what we can get to you. I mean, it seems like we've been going down this road for a long time. And in the last meeting you mentioned, we've spent $5 million at least on the resident trooper
Over 10 years, and
over 10 years.
we have nothing.
And we have nothing to show for it. I mean, even when we're fighting at budget time, we're at least pointing at data, we have no data to point at, so what are the troopers doing? I know that the troopers are committed to keeping our town safe, but I think that's the case. I don't know that. I don't have any data to point at.
Well, the frustration, John, is that in a Chief Reader, Matt Reed in Ellington comes from South Windsor. I come from Hartford. We have that data. We can show you, this is what's happening in town. This is what happened in 10 years. This is what happens in July this year. This is what happened in July last year. This is what happened in July before. And we can see that there's a burglary pattern here around Christmas time. That's so many different things you can look at. And here's the other thing I brought up. Where do the troopers patrol during the day or night?
Mhm.
And what's that based on?
Right.
Because if you could tell me burglaries are bad in this part of the Tolland during this time of year, we can move our staffing of the troopers to do extra patrols in those neighborhoods.
Right.
That's not happening. So what I said to the commissioner is, he's like, we'll get this report going. I'm like, okay, the report going is part one. Then where's the part two of using that data to do smart policing? And this is not, and of course the commissioner was like, it's basic. That is just basic cops on the dots policing. That is pretty easy to figure out. And it's just so antiquated, the resident trooper system, compared to what South Windsor had, 10 years ago. They're decades behind the resident trooper program. And the frustrating part is that data is there, and we could be using that data to better, more intelligently approach our patrols and staffing. And I mean, this is just basic. There's going to be shootings at this time. You put the ambulances there, you can. It's not that would happen in town, but I'm just saying philosophically in police land. So I feel you. And that when I got here, it was just mind-boggling to me how far behind it is, and jumped out at me considering my past career. And so that this is what I've been working at. I know you're just here, but I've been dangling this contract around since all of you have been here. We've been without a contract for the majority of the time. And the only reason we did it last time was to hammer through school resource officer. That they wouldn't, that the state police wouldn't allow a school resource officer unless we signed the resident trooper contracts. They strong armed, and I signed it, and because that was more important. And so now we're back, but now we're back for another contract, and what we are making strides in the right direction. And I asked the colonel and the commissioner, who tells our cops where to go every day? And that was the look I got.
It's hard to throw $500,000 over the table and not know what we're getting for it.
But on the other hand, here's what makes it easy. What's your other option?
Right.
So there isn't one stronger.
All right, when's your meeting with the commissioner?
September something coming up.
So-
I'll give you an
so
update, though.
It's a site, there's actual date.
Oh, God, yeah, no, and I've been working with their data guy, and the data guy was from Hartford. prior to, and so he knows what we're looking for, and he had reached out again like a week ago saying, hey, this is what I'm tinkering with, and so we are absolutely, Matt and I aren't gonna let it go.
Yeah.
You know that, I mean, since you've been here, you've been hearing me. So,
Even if the reports were to say that there's no crime in town, that there's nothing going on, I'd be more confident funding for troopers if I.
Yes,
knew
'cause they're
two of
doing
them were
good.
Just running reports.
and I presented that to them, you can use this to justify
Their
your existence in the 62 resident trooper towns.
Yeah,
And
it should be in all the contracts.
commissioner gets it.
Yeah.
You know, so I just have to stay on and make sure, he's just not giving me a bone and hope I go away, which.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Based on your conversations with him, is the idea, or do you think he understands, like, that the idea would be ultimately to have something in our contract that says that they have to provide this?
Putting in the contracts, he knows he needs to professionalize the contract.
Okay, so this is something, this isn't just like a, hey, you give me the data thing because we have a good relationship, we try, like, the goal is that he would, like,
Professionalize.
2 years from now, when we get this contract again, there should be part,
His words
whatever.
were professionalize the resident trooper programs around the state.
Okay.
No, great.
Yep.
So, I'll just stay on him, and then, there's some turnover at that position as well, so, but as long as I'm here.
Yep.
No one's ever said a word.
Yep.
And until Matt Reed and I got to where we are.
Yep.
Nobody's said a word. You generally, town manager A or B across the state is like, hey, they're great.
Yep.
You
And so would your expectation be that in 2 years from now, we're looking at this contract, there would be something in the contract about getting data from them? I know you're not asking.
That falls on the attorneys at Legal Affairs and
Yep.
the AG.
I mean, but that's also.
I don't push
That's driven
them
by-
as hard as I can push the actual.
But they make the AG's work.
Yep.
That's the whatever it is, and so they just need to someone needs to make a decision at like a policy level that we're going to do this and this is going to be incorporated into the contract.
I would hope so, and I'm gonna keep.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna get another bite at the apple.
Yep.
In what June of 27, and.
Yep.
I'll go again.
Seems like this should be policy throughout the state.
Right, that's what, yeah.
And,
Now you're using logic.
and shouldn't our elected representatives be able to help with this?
They
And
agree.
all of the elected representatives in the other 62 towns that are not getting the data that we should be getting? I mean, we are 2 decades into the 21st century, yikes. So this should just be standard operating procedure throughout the state. And it seems to me that legislative action is needed also, or legislative pressure is needed also. So how do we help with that?
Are you asking me or asking council?
I'm saying, you said you've been working, our elected representatives are
If the
trying to help
commissioner
you.
closed the door on me.
Mhm.
And said, you're crazy, fully go away.
Yep.
Then I would say, okay, legislators, this is a problem. But he's not to that point. So me, Ryan Foley and Tolland going to him and trying to get this codified.
Mhm.
I haven't asked, but I discussed this with Tammy at length and
Okay.
she was here, on council when this was going. So she completely agrees that this is a must, but at the same time, so does the commissioner. So I'm giving him some berth.
But or at least your thing is, like, there hasn't been any legislative push and you're thinking that that's the right approach for now, that we shouldn't be trying to push legislators to.
If you feel that way, absolutely, but I'm making progress with the means that I have available to me.
Do you have an ETA as to when you might see some data from them?
September, at the meeting, he's going to have a report generated, but I want it next year, quarterly. Something.
Yeah.
We have nothing.
Right.
And I showed the commissioner what we get. It's nothing.
So does it ask the council, does it make sense to table this until after that meeting?
We run the risk of losing the troopers.
So the one thing that we kind of we want to push up on the maybe just especially for Councilor Beebe and Councilor Greeny's benefit, because most of this conversation started when we weren't here, was originally we were kind of all on board, just don't sign it because we're not getting the data. And then last year, we had a lot of conversation about filling the SRO positions. And part of the problem with that was we didn't have a resident state trooper contract. That kind of made us go and around, we'll sign it for 1 year, which is what we did in the fall of 2024. I don't remember exactly when, it was around that time. Cleared that log jam out of the way for the SROs. Fast forward to now, we've made good progress on getting the data reports. We don't have them yet, but there's been good progress. I'd say more than I've seen in the past almost 2 years that we've been on, because last year it was pretty much talk to the hand, from what I can recall. I guess kind of the way I see it personally, open other opinions, but it's like, how do you, what would this do to our negotiation with the state? If it's gonna damage the progress that you're making, Brian, I wouldn't want to jeopardize that. On the other hand, if there's some benefit in sending a message, I mean, I would be.
I've sent a message there, then we've leveraged, but you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
What if at this year's budget, we decide to want an SRO? And we're not in contract again. So we just, my recommendation is to, I'm asking to sign said contract. But that's just my recommendation. You guys decide what you want, but, keep in mind that I got an email from them this week saying, by not signing the contract, you are telling us that you do not want resident trooper coverage in town. And that's a big decision.
But we went with, and I agree with you, I don't want to put the town at risk of not having coverage. We did go a period of time without having it, right? And I agree with Jacob completely that the idea was like, okay, we have to sign this because we need to get the SRO situation in place, right? And that was, I think, the right thing to do. And obviously at the time where we went without a contract for a little while, right? Like, we were comfortable with that. But you're not as comfortable doing that now for safety reasons and for reasons like negotiating, whatever it is, with what the progress you're making. That's not your recommendation.
A few reasons, right? The SRO is certainly a main one. The progress we're making is certainly a main one. And then the political fallout of losing 4 resident. I don't think the state would pull the resident troopers out. And if they did, we would escalate. This is why I won't sign the contract. It's pretty valid.
Right.
And, it wouldn't come to that. But again, I don't.
Because we can sign it at any time, right?
And it's just 2 years. Well, it's supposed to be signed already.
Right, but it's not. And I'm just saying, like, okay, I'll just.
So since I'm the new guy, I'll be the devil's advocate. You said we run the risk of losing the resident troopers. If we lose the resident troopers, don't we still have a troop C right here in town?
Yep.
So wouldn't we still have some coverage?
Correct. Resident troopers could be defined as a luxury. Wellington has none.
Yeah.
They have no resident troopers. They have police services from.
And they
Troop
rely
C
on troop C.
in Tolland, correct?
It's a decision I guess you really can't make until you have the data.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, do we?
Yeah.
And the other issue is we fight every year over the school budget. So we could be in a fight where we don't have the resources to fund an SRO after doing all this.
Like this year.
Like this year, exactly.
Yeah.
So do we, I'm leaning more towards the idea of tabling this until we see what the town manager can get. It's a month. But, I also understand the need to keep our town safe, assuming that's what's happening.
And one of our 2 main goals are to educate our kids and keep our town safe, in my estimation. And I don't like gambling. I'm making progress. we are making progress with the Ellington town manager and I, in moving it forward. And, you know, if you don't sign it, you know, I don't know what lies ahead down the road. Is it worth it? It's something you have to decide, but my recommendation, public safety first. I'm watching, you know, we're watching and pushing
I'm of the opinion we don't rock the boat. Right.
too much,
Right.
because I'm rocking the boat,
No, I know, but yeah,
not too much.
we don't cancel a contract, delay the contract.
It's kind of how I feel as well. If you were making no progress, it might be a different story.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, you know, the safety of the town is obviously the number one priority, and so I get that, and I think that's probably where I come down at the end of the day. You know, if we're having this conversation in 2 years, well, you know, if I'm here, you know, I think I'll feel differently at that point. If we're still, because at some point the council has to, like, you're doing all that you can.
Let's go there for 1 second if I can.
Yeah.
I'm working on contingency plans.
Mhm.
You know, if we lose the resident troopers.
Yep.
And that would be regionalization.
Mhm.
And we had these discussions with the commissioner.
Mhm.
I would like to hire Vernon cops.
Mhm.
Ellington would like to, you know, discuss hiring South Windsor cops.
Yep.
And so we are looking at those provisions, and like I said, it's not out of the question to think the state police wants out of the resident trooper business philosophically down the road. And so I have to have contingency in mind after that. So I'm thinking down the road, you know, if, you know, I'm not just gonna be strong armed here, this is your contract, go away. As you're seeing, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm, how far do we wanna push? And we're getting what we want here.
Yeah, and this is just for the record, I think is like, there's my feelings, right, is, you know, I want to ensure our town is safe, that's the number one priority. Long term, I also, you know, you go through different councils, right, and that, or, you know, things take time to change all this other stuff, but at some point I do think the council has to do something too, to try to push, right, and pushing everything that you can do. And so my point is just that I think my feelings would be pretty different in 2 years if we were still having this conversation. I just want to sort of like be like laying that groundwork now to make clear, you know, whether it's you're conveying that to the commissioner, that at least some people on council feel that way, or whatever it is, right? Like, I just don't want, I really would not like the council to be in the same exact position 2 years from now, right? Where we're just like, well, we have to because we have no other choice. And then they keep saying that they're gonna be something.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah, I agree too, even sooner than that, like I assume the next couple of months will be very enlightening.
Mhm.
You know, if there continues to be no progress, maybe next year, the legislative session, it begins to be something that really starts.
I think if we hit 2026 and we weren't getting any data,
Yeah.
that whoever is sitting in these seats needs to
I agree.
do something.
Work with our legislators as well.
And it's a PR layup for us. What we're asking for is not,
It's very common sense.
it's very every police department in the
Yeah.
state.
Yep.
Except for this one.
Is there any more discussion? Anything else you want to add, Brian?
No, again, it's not the troopers in town. They're doing a fine job.
Absolutely. All right, I will. Is there a draft? There is. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the draft resolution of item 8.3.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Beebe. Is there a second? Second. All right, any further discussion on item 8.3? All right, hearing none, around the room, Councilor Graney. Aye. Councilor Moran. Aye. Councilor Shay. Aye. Councilor Beebe.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That resolution is adopted. All right. Moving along to item 8.4, consideration of a resolution to approve the M&T Bank client resolution related to adding Director of Finance and Records, Yolita Lazauskas as TM, Treasury Management Services signer.
Thanks. This is a housekeeping issue with our bank. Obviously, our finance director, Yolita, is here to discuss it. And this is just allowing her to sign off, basically. Go ahead, Yolita.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. The bank requires approval from you for me to be able to deposit loans, to even be on account and have access to money.
Did we do a reorganization in the records has been dropped? I just noticed that in the description. I thought that went to a different department now.
No, it's still records.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, the town
clerk's still-
clerk has been reporting to town manager. I mean,
There was a reorganization
Okay,
where the town clerk, for reasons unknown, actually it is known. For odd reasons, the town clerk was moved under the finance director
Okay.
years ago,
yeah.
personality related, a decade or so ago or more. Those issues are not here anymore.
Yeah.
And so we brought the town clerk back under the town manager's office.
Okay, I just noticed it in the item description, just anything. Any questions about this one? Controversial, opinion.
We trust you, you're lead.
Are we getting?
I'll be the federal prison.
Data now.
We get a lot of data from you.
We have no money.
Took it all.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the draft resolution item 4.
So move. Oh.
Yes, you have. Seconded by Councilor Rand. All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay, item 5, appointments to vacancies.
Yeah, we have 3, they all relate to the Water Pollution Control Authority. 2 of them are new appointments and 1 of them is a reappointment. David Drost, Chris Kelly would both be new appointments to the Water Pollution Control Authority, and then John Zavechin, thank you, would be reappointment to the Water Pollution Control Authority. So as always, greatly appreciate that for those individuals stepping up, willing to dedicate their time. We recommend
Question about Mr. Kelly. Does he work for the town? I just didn't know if that
Yes.
was
I think to both Chris and David.
Dave and Chris both work for.
And they're here.
okay.
They
They're
both
online.
recently promoted within DPW. Dave is in charge of the highway, and Chris is the assistant director now.
Okay.
And both a part of our succession planning as part of your council goals.
Okay.
Both are involved in that, and both 10 out of 10 of how they've performed in their roles. Like, I couldn't be happier. You see Dave watching the council meetings every week.
Yeah.
When do we have, they both live in town. And they both they're on the road now. We used to have to wait for someone from Enfield and someone from Columbia to come and do those 2 jobs. They're both in town, and each time something's happened since they've been in those roles, the truck's already out there, chainsaws are running by the time I'm asking. So I'm very happy with that.
That's great. I'm just wondering, is it permissible though on the chart? That was just my only thought, because they are
it's a good question.
in the town.
Yeah, no, it's a good, I thank you for money, because and that is it. Sorry, but it's appropriate for that.
I thought it was
to be so
required.
They are, they're serving in this capacity as residents, not as employees of the town.
Okay.
They're both registered voters in town, they both live in town. While it is very much in line with the council's goal of succession planning in terms of their learning about the commission, they're also doing this because this particular commission has been sorely in need of members for a long time. And they're really, it's a big challenge for them to move forward to get any business done because of the connection with the Vernon sewer and all that is entailed with that. Scott Lappin, as a staff liaison to this commission, has been continually frustrated in not being able to move forward with certain things. John, who you're in the midst of reappointing, has been the chair of this commission for a long time, but has expressed an interest in retiring. He's a little tired of it, but has been wonderful and is certainly very committed to seeing through what needs to be done. But it just points back to our continuous problem of lack of volunteers. So while, yes, Chris and Dave are both employees of the town, certainly their interest in serving is very much appreciated. It's perfectly allowed within the rules and, you know, we hope council will see some value in.
Didn't we
in
look at
appointing-
getting, we looked into getting rid of this one, I believe, and that we were mandated to have it, because there was
Yes.
no one volunteering on it.
Oh, right, yeah, 'cause they didn't even have enough for a quorum or something.
Never.
Is that?
Correct.
And so, and
Correct.
we had actually looked into liquidating it, but we can't. We're required to have it.
And just, so agreed, and obviously appreciate them not only volunteering for the town, working for the town, their dedication to the town. Just, there's nothing like the Water Pollution Control Authority that was sort of like weirdly interact with their job that they would have to like, you know, they would be, if they don't approve, like, you know, we handle sort of like any salary type things and all that. So there's no like weird conflict of interest with them being on the board or on the commission and town boards.
No, in fact, I think the opposite. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna help them certainly learn more about the limited sewer access that Tolland has and they're working very closely with Vernon in that regard anyway. So any knowledge that they can gain in that regard, I think is only a positive. And I think
Their salaries are not at
Yeah, it's
all,
nothing that's.
no.
at all tied into any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we make the one sewer payment, you know,
Yeah.
a year to Vernon.
Yeah.
That's the only financial obligation other than approving repairs and that
That's
sort
it.
of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's great. I think they would both be great assets, and I think obviously it's technically permissible, and I also just think that I don't think that there's any sort of conflict that would cause any issues. So I agree. I think they would be great. But thank you for bringing that up. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, no, certainly not
Yeah,
not against either Dave or Chris on the phone. Here, I just felt like we gotta at
No,
least run the bases up on that before you make an appointment.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no, I agree. This committee, I'm the council liaison to it, and they only meet quarterly now. And we've
Quarterly.
missed, like, there's been several meetings where there hasn't been a quorum, and so you could be like literally a year
Yeah.
between meetings. That's a little too infrequent, so I think that's good. I'll entertain a motion to appoint or reappoint and appoint members to the WPCA.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Give it to Councilor Beatty. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. All right, that is the end of new business. There is no old business, which brings us to the report of the town manager.
Thanks. Let me do some housekeeping things here. We had a tax sale recently, right here in this room, this past week. The town has recovered about $100,000 in old tax liens out of that, with potentially more coming. Not much more, but maybe at most 20 to 30,000, at least 5,000 in attorney fees in that range. And so we see what's best with that one piece of oddball land. As far as the council had asked us during budget time to look into the ordinance 60 update. I met with Jason a month or two ago to discuss some of those improvements that we can make to ordinance 60, and basically, can we increase the amount of people that are that are benefiting from ordinance 60 and getting it closer to the amount of money that we had allocated for it. They are meeting in September. It will be on a council agenda for a public hearing in October, and hopefully we can redo the ordinance, adjust the numbers before November. Obviously, we talked about traffic safety in town with that dirt bike accident at the corner of Anderson and Goose. Prior to that happening, maybe a month or two ago, I had identified some grant opportunities through the state to do some traffic improvements, be it lighting, be it signage, be it any sort of structural improvements to improve safety. In an effort to best determine where those efforts should be made, I reached out to the Connecticut State Police for some data on the danger spots in town. And they were to statistically provide me the areas where accidents are most likely to occur. I also reached out to our fire chief and public safety director, Chief Lytle, and asked him, not statistically, but from his heart and head, he's been here forever, what are the most dangerous spots in town? Together, that information was culled together, given to Megan, and she'll be looking at applying for some traffic safety measures at the most dangerous locations in town. I already talked about the state police. I do want to mention that a staff member was named as a potential witness in the Costas Diamantis upcoming trial. The staff member provided me notification today on it, exactly who contacted. I spoke with our attorney today. Our staff member will cooperate completely with the investigation. Our attorney, Rick Conti, will go with our staff member to the interview. The staff member has cooperated in the past with the federal government that's doing the investigation, the agency that's doing it, and in fact has received a very complimentary feedback I have received from the agency in regards to record keeping and honesty on the part of the town of Tolland. So again, it's only as a witness. And it relates to the Birch Grove School building and some federal grand jury that's ongoing with that. So that's all I have in that regard. Today I walked around with Ryan Deneen, the new rec director. We went to every single field, facility, everything, bathroom, you name it. We went to everything in town and looked at all the areas, what our visions are, kind of getting a familiarity with what I want to see, like you saw what's happened at Crandall's. We went through everything. So it was very positive. He's been here for a while. He already has a really good working understanding of all of our rec facilities here in town. We have an opportunity to provide with some changes in the janitorial services, hopefully to improve some of the facilities there. We have a new building at Crandall's, potentially in the capital budget down the road. So he'll be working with that. So went through the rec building, every room, everything. We went through everything together. So it was a great walkthrough. And he's doing fine. The Parks Garage is on time. We expect it to be finished. It's 99% finished, but we expect it by October to be ready to open. I'll keep you posted and discuss with council as to any sort of grand opening or anything that council wants to do in that regard. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
Great news up on the rec garage. It's very cool to see one of those projects that we actually authorized during the term and will actually
If you get finished.
You don't see that.
I will hold comment as to why it went so smooth. It did.
Councilor,
yeah, I forgot one of them, but on the town employee Birch Grove custody Diamantis thing, just to be clear, the town and its employees, there's no accusation of any wrongdoing on Tolland's part, right?
The opposite. In fact, we were above and beyond in our record keeping and everything that we did on our behalf. So
Okay, so this is us just cooperating to help with the Costas Diamantis issue.
Yep.
The town hasn't done anything.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Councilor Green?
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item 11 or item 11.1 and 11.2, which is adoption of our minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes? So moved. Moved by Councilor Moran. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes? All those, I'll go around since sometimes you like to abstain. Councilor Green?
I will abstain. I was not.
Councilor Moran?
Aye.
Councilor Shane?
Aye.
Councilor Beebe?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so those minutes are adopted. Correspondence to council. Councilor Green?
Yes, we received 3 emails over the last few weeks. One was a message from a Tolland resident to State Controller Sean Scanlon regarding unfunded mandates, as well as replies from the Controller and State Senator Gordon. The council received an email from a resident regarding compensation for expenses incurred at his property. And we received a message requesting a method to email the full board event at once, as well as a request for details about the publicity of the upcoming federal court proceedings.
So question about that is I know we've all been dealing with like email transitions recently. But is it possible to do a centralized email repository for a board?
Thoughts?
I don't
Relative to the
even-
new Office 365.
Yes, so I had a conversation this week with our South Windsor leadership team.
Yeah.
And I'm exploring and explaining how the state works. So we're working through some kinks, like policies, how we're gonna handle what we need to inform.
Okay.
And tomorrow we have a call with Novus, which is, they helped us to install Office 365. So hopefully, my goal is to get it done and get moving and have those access and locations
Okay,
and
so
everything,
if we were to, I know you guys like to respond to residents like this, so, but if we get questions like this, we're investigating it.
Yes, we're
Okay.
still working on like
Okay,
policies.
thank you.
I mean, the town council has a catch-all email address that goes to all of us. So I don't think one exists for the board of ed, and that was the person that was.
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
But that's not our.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do technically, I didn't, like, if I did not try to respond to that just because I didn't have any background information to even be useful, so.
There were some responses back to some of those emails. I don't know if you guys were CC'd on them. You weren't. Okay, it was from the Board of Ed chair, from Dr. Willett.
Okay,
Responded.
so
back.
they would
At length.
respond, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson's report, just a couple things. All of our students and teachers have a good school year this year. You know, it's that time of year, summer's coming to an end. And then the last thing I'll just say is want to thank Brian, Megan, and Chief Lytle for some of the work they've been doing regarding some road safety grants that Brian mentioned. It's been, you know, a tough summer with a couple of motorcycle or motorbike accidents, and one that resulted in a fatality. So definitely an issue we've been seeing more of this year. And I think that's some good work to fix that. And then, yes, there's a lot of people watching tonight, but certainly reading the minutes, you know, it's important to make sure your kids are safe on the road. That's just like the
Okay,
icon.
that's the
Yeah.
cursor.
Okay, communications and petitions from council persons. Anything tonight? Yes, Councilor Ryan?
I'll just echo best of luck to students and teachers, and also the road safety thing, obviously thoughts are with the family of the young man who got injured on the dirt bike accident. And as Jacob mentioned, obviously appreciate town staff for anything we can do to continue to try to improve traffic safety, road safety.
Councilor Reedy?
Yeah, echo, welcome to all students and staff. I think we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the fall, including our fall festival. And I think Human Services is still accepting donations for the school
Yes.
year,
Yep.
which are, there's some significant needs there, so again, there's not a lot of people listening, but if people were thinking of doing that now would be a great time to do that right before school starts.
Absolutely.
Through September 11th.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. That brings us to public list of participation within any subjects within the jurisdiction of a town council, this time with a 3-minute limit. I'll go to the room first. Anybody like to speak? Go online. Go back to the room. Go online one more time. Go to the room one more time. All right, seeing none, we'll go to our last item of the night, which is adjournment. Is there any objection to adjournment at 8:37 p.m.? Seeing none, we are adjourned.